It's time for 49ers Vikings. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We are approaching kickoff for what's going to be a huge game. 49ers playoff chances either go down significantly or up to like 66% if they could beat Minnesota on Sunday. So, work off all the calories, do whatever you need to between now and kickoff because this is going to be a big one. As you can see right there on the screen, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kirk Cousins meet again. Subscribe to the channel. I already talked about Garoppolo and Cousins in a separate video earlier this week. Hell, I even talked about Steve Young's Vikings run earlier this week. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. Make sure you ask whatever questions you need to ask in the comment section. And after I go through the keys to 49ers Vikings, we will answer whatever questions I deem necessary to answer. First of all, on The Athletic right now, here is the preview packet. It's a Black Friday sale, $1 a month for a subscription to The Athletic. So I am posting this right now in the live comment section. I'll post it later on the YouTube comment section. If you go to that link, copy and paste it or click on it, it's $1 a month for an entire year. And this is a nice 2,000-word piece that you can see down here that has everything, charts. In fact, I'll even put one of the charts up to help set the table right now. After the Thanksgiving games, here's the NFC playoff picture. 49ers are on the inside looking in, not on the outside looking in. They're right there. You can see them right there at number 7, and the Vikings are number 6. Both teams 5-5. Both teams were 3-5 up until a couple of weeks ago. Then they started winning. If the 49ers can win this game and go to 6-5, you see the Cowboys, they lost to the Raiders yesterday. You see the Rams, they still play the 49ers in Week 18 this season. There'll be serious talk about the 5 seed for the 49ers. And, hey, there's still a lot of football left to be played. 7 games, including this one. So I don't think that the 1 seed and the division championship are particularly likely, but a whole lot else is still possible and on the table for the 49ers. So check out The Athletic, check out that link. I'm going to discuss a lot of what I wrote today, and that's obviously going to be there in a little bit more detail. Anyway, on to key one for the 49ers on Sunday. Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers offense need to beat Minnesota's two-shell defense. The Vikings, under their head coach, Mike Zimmer, run more two-high safety looks than almost every other team in the NFL. So the Vikings are not aggressive with 8-man front of the line of scrimmage. They're not aggressive with single high safety. They sag the safeties. They keep those 2 safeties back, and they have good safeties still. They did when the 49ers faced them in the playoffs 2 years ago. Harrison Smith and Xavier Woods are the 2 safeties for the Minnesota Vikings, and they do a good job out of that too-high look. What does this mean? Well, it means that the Vikings are going to give you underneath stuff. They're also going to let you run a lot, but they're probably not going to let you run explosively. Today, Kyle Shanahan explained it really well. He said that the 49ers, against Mike Zimmer's too-high look in the playoffs 2 years ago, ran 47 times, and they ran it generally efficiently, 3 to 4 yards a carry, enough that if you ran it over and over again, you'd be able to collect first downs, which is what the 49ers ended up doing in the second half. But it took the 49ers about 30 carries to finally notch one that gained over 10 yards. So Shanahan called it an umbrella. A well-run, too-high defense is like an umbrella. You have to be able to chip away, chip away, chip away. If you get a little greedy, and Jimmy Garoppolo got a little greedy the last time the 49ers played the Vikings right before halftime in that game in the divisional playoffs, you can create giveaways. You can throw right into that defense. So remember the Jimmy Garoppolo interception to Eric Kendricks? Those linebackers for the Vikings are not going to be aggressive at the line of scrimmage. They're going to sag back, and they're going to bait you. If you get a little bit greedy and you try to push it to that intermediate level, you might throw it right to a linebacker, just like Jimmy Garoppolo did against the Vikings that last meeting. So it's imperative for the 49ers to be patient offensively. And let me tell you what, I think after seeing this team notch, 4 or 5 90-plus yard drives already this season, including that record drive against Jacksonville and that 18-play drive against the Rams the week before, I think the 49ers actually, it's in their DNA to be patient against this type of two-shell, too-high defense. And I think that they can methodically grind their way down the field. The 49ers have shown the ability to be able to take these long drives and execute them. They just can't bite off more than they can chew against a defense that wants them to do that and therefore create a turnover. So the 49ers need to be methodical. They need to be patient. If you're averaging 3.5 yards per carry, it doesn't matter. That will still get the job done if you don't turn the ball over. So it's up for Jimmy Garoppolo to keep this one underneath unless there is a calculated shot downfield that is absolutely safe for this 49ers defense. But hey, ball control is okay if you're the 49ers in this game. It worked to the tune of a 27-10 win over Minnesota in that playoff game, and it can work again because Minnesota is nowhere near as strong defensively as they were in that 2019 season. Minnesota is going to be down 3 key defensive linemen. They're going to be down Dalvin Tomlinson, who is on the COVID list. They're going to be down Danielle Hunter, who tore his pectoral muscle earlier this year. And they're going to be down Everson Griffin, who has some personal issues that he's dealing with this year. You might have read about that whole situation where police were called to his house a couple days ago. Well, he's on the non-football illness list, so Everson Griffin will be out too. This Minnesota Vikings team is leading the NFL with 31 sacks. But with no Everson Griffin, with no Danielle Hunter, and with no Dalvin Tomlinson, it should be easier to run methodically against this Minnesota team. So, that being said, the 49ers need to be methodical. Elijah Mitchell or not, he's questionable. They just have to churn yardage one down at a time. On to key number 2. 49ers, this is now on the defensive side of the ball. The 49ers need to expose the Vikings' inconsistent run blocking. Okay, the Minnesota Vikings do not have a good offensive line. Kirk Cousins has actually been playing really, really well this season. And that is despite the fact that his line is not run blocking consistently, nor is it pass blocking consistently. So first, let's talk about the run blocking because that can best set up a lot of what Cousins does well, including the play action pass. Left to right on that Vikings offensive line, you have Christian Darrisaw, Ezra Cleveland, two good-looking young linemen on the left side of the offensive line between Darrisaw and Cleveland. Mason Cole or Garrett Bradbury at center. Both of those guys are terrible. Oli Udoh at right guard and Brian O'Neill at right tackle. There are struggles on that interior line, especially between center and right guard. Brian O'Neill's a decent lineman at right tackle, but I think everybody on this Minnesota team as a cohesive unit has not been consistent in run blocking in front of Dalvin Cook. In fact, here's a stat for you. The Vikings have had 24% of their run plays blown up this year, stuffed, either no gain or a loss. That's the worst rate in the NFL. No team has seen its run plays stuffed more often than the Minnesota Vikings this season. Now, Dalvin Cook, the running back, he's special. He's a talent. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run with power. He can run with speed. He can run with shiftiness. He's a complete back. But the truth of the matter is that this Vikings blocking apparatus is not consistently making sure that he's getting positive gains. 24% is an absurdly high rate for stuffed runs. It's the worst in the league. So the 49ers need to expose the Vikings' inconsistent run blocking because what that will do is it will put Kirk Cousins into passing situations. And then when you look at passing situations, the Vikings are absolutely terrible at the center position. Mason Cole and Garrett Bradbury have both started games at center for the Vikings this year. Bradbury was put on the COVID list a few weeks ago. He's available to go now, but Cole has been starting. Not sure who they're going to go to, but listen to this. Out of 40 qualifying centers, Cole and Bradbury rank 39 and 40 in PFF pass blocking grade. That's Pro Football Focus. So the two centers rank dead last. And 49ers fans, more than anybody, should know what terrible center play can do to scuttle an offense. Oli Udoh at right guard hasn't been good in pass protection either. Ezra Cleveland at left guard is a powerful run blocker, not nearly as good at pass blocking. And Christian Darrisaw at left tackle, also a young guy, hasn't been great in pass protection for the Minnesota Vikings. Their best pass protector has been Brian O'Neill. So I wonder if the 49ers will move Bosa over and try to work him a little bit more against that left side and Christian Darrisaw. And if D Ford plays, the 49ers will decide on Saturday. I wonder how much he's going to get maybe some work inside to work against Ezra Cleveland or Oli Udoh. You know Arden Key is going to work against the inside. You know the 49ers are going to try to bring in DJ Jones on some base downs where Kirk Cousins might pass and have him work against that center position. Center's just bad for the Minnesota Vikings. So if you can scuttle the runs, if you can blow up and detonate some of the runs, because the Vikings have been susceptible to that this season, you can get yourself in a position where you can work on the interior of that offensive line and you get some sacks if you're the 49ers. It's a different line than the one the 49ers faced in the playoffs a couple years ago, the one that saw Dee Ford and Nick Bosa just crunch Kirk Cousins a bunch of times. I think it was 6 sacks and 9 hits in that game. But the line isn't any better. It might be younger, it might be revamped, but I wouldn't say that it's better for the Minnesota Vikings. So the key is to expose that line. Kirk Cousins has been doing a good job even behind the shady front this year. He's getting rid of the ball really quickly. We talk about Jimmy Garoppolo's quick release. His release right here, snap the throw, is 2.53 seconds this year. It's number 4 in the NFL. That's Garoppolo. Well, Kirk Cousins is number 5 at 2.55 seconds. So Cousins has been getting the ball out quickly this year to compensate for a shady offensive line, and the 49ers need to further push him to his breaking point. And to get to that breaking point, it's going to be up to the 49ers pass coverage. Josh Norman and Emmanuel Mosley have to do well enough against Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, 2 star receivers for the Vikings. They have to do well enough so that the coverage holds up for those 2.7, 2.8 seconds, whatever the 49ers defensive line is going to need to get home. So far, Cousins has been efficient this year, and that's with a 2.55 second release time. So the 49ers have to do better coverage-wise, and this is a tall task because Thielen and Jefferson are extremely talented wideouts, and we know that Norman and Mosley can be sketchy cornerbacks. But the 49ers are going to bring Jimmy Ward to help from the slot, and Jimmy Ward has done that really well from his safety position this year. If Thielen lines up in the slot, I fully expect, or even Jefferson lines up in the slot, I fully expect Jimmy Ward to be able to man him up. That can take some strain off of the 49ers cornerbacks. And other than that, they just have to play their technique. Jaquiski Tartt just has to play his technique. K'Wan Williams has to play his technique. The 49ers have to deliver well enough on the back end to give that front four enough time to get home against an offensive line that isn't very good. And finally, we bring it all full circle with key 5. Jimmy Garoppolo has got to keep it up. Over the last 4 weeks, Jimmy Garoppolo has been the most efficient quarterback in all of football. Here you see the quarterback comparison between Jimmy Garoppolo and Kirk Cousins. EPA per play. Look who's the most efficient quarterback in the entire NFL for this whole season. It is none other than Jimmy Garoppolo. Right there. Kirk Cousins, number 8. Adjusted net yards per attempt. That includes sacks. Cousins is number 3. Garoppolo is number 7. Accuracy-wise, Cousins has been number 7. This is completion percentage above expectation. Garoppolo number 13. But over the past 4 weeks, Jimmy Garoppolo has actually been number 2 in completion percentage above expectation. So even the accuracy has seen a nice uptick for Jimmy Garoppolo. He's got to keep it up. He's got to keep the ball going to his own teammates. Only 1 interception in the past 4 weeks for Garoppolo, and that one came in desperation time against Arizona. So he's been doing a great job taking care of the football, and that's what this game is all about. It's one of those games where your best defense is definitely going to be a good offense because Minnesota can move the ball on offense, but they have weaknesses, right? That run blocking hasn't been consistent, and neither has the pass blocking. So as a defense, you have to allow the 49ers to dig in, allow Bosa, allow Ford if he plays, allow Fred Warner, allow all those guys to dig in and play downhill. And the way that you allow that is that you take that 49ers offense and tell them, you guys go control the tempo of this game. Control the clock. Use the play clock. Use those long drives. Beat that, right here, key 1. Beat that 2-shell defense that's going to have both safeties playing further back and move the ball methodically down the football field. That's what you have to do as the 49ers in this game. That's going to be your best defense, and that's going to be up to Jimmy Garoppolo because he's the guy pulling all the strings of the line of scrimmage. He has to deal with the fact that the 49ers don't have their starting right tackle, Mike McGlinchey, who just had successful surgery on his right quad. That all is reliant on the quarterback to make sure that nothing is blown up and scuttled to the point of irreparability. Now, the Vikings, they're weakened along the defensive front. That gives the 49ers an advantage. That's why I think the 49ers should win this game. But even if they're weakened, they can still surprise the 49ers with some blitzes, and it's up to Garoppolo to not let those blitzes turn into detonating plays. The 49ers are favored in this game for a reason. They need to hold serve through the techniques that I just illustrated at those key pressure points. All right, guys, I don't see any questions. So maybe if you ask one a little bit later on, I'll be able to go and answer the questions in the comment section. But since there are no questions here, even though there's quite a few viewers, I guess I've been pretty straightforward. Hopefully I have addressed everything about 49ers Vikings. Again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody a day later. Enjoy the leftovers today. And if you are on the video right now, hit that subscribe button. We're almost at 5,000. Prizes coming for everybody when we do hit 5,000. So hit subscribe, follow along, and we'll see you soon. But first, I'm going to answer a question because I promised I would. Wasn't Mac brought in to help Jimmy and Trey with the line making changes? Yes, absolutely. Mac was brought in because the 49ers had seen terrible center play, especially after Weston Richburg was hurt and Ben Garland was also hurt in recent years. Alex Mack is doing a great job to help Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think you see the results. Garoppolo's been the most efficient quarterback in football over the past 4 weeks. I think Alex Mack, who hustles a lot out on that field, has a big part of that. So the Vikings, they now have that hole at center and right guard. So the 49ers are looking at a mirror image of their 2020 and 2019 selves. They need to capitalize on that. The Vikings are weak at center. The 49ers are strong there. It's a really important position. Is Elijah Mitchell playing? He's questionable. He has a pin in his finger, but it's in a spot where the 49ers know that he can protect himself. And as long as he's confident enough to play, the 49ers will play Elijah Mitchell on Sunday to answer that question. So why isn't more put on Alex Mack? There is a lot put on Alex Mack. He's in charge of all the I was talking in general earlier. There is a lot on Jimmy Garoppolo as far as diagnosing defenses, but Alex Mack specifically at center needs to identify safety rotations for the 49ers run game, and he also needs to make coverage to, blocking checks for the offensive line. There is a lot put on Alex Mack and Jimmy Garoppolo. Those two are the battery. It's like Madison Bumgarner and Buster Posey. Those two are both cohesively diagnosing the defense, making adjustments to the line of scrimmage. And in a game where the 49ers are favored, on paper they should win, but it's going to be a hard-fought game. There's a lot of pressure on Mack and Garoppolo to not allow detonating plays. Do you think that we will see more of Amenahu? I like him. I like Amenahu too. 3 pressures so far and limited snaps in his first 2 games. I do think we'll see a little bit more of him because even if D Ford plays, I think 10 snaps is the limit for D Ford. You pick and choose your spots with D Ford. You don't go crazy with him. So I do think we'll see more of Amenahu. He's going to be coming off that edge. He's a different player than D Ford, much bigger. You could put him in there on base downs. I think there's talent with Charles Amenahu. So I think the 49ers are going to play him a little bit more as he gets more and more comfortable with the playbook. Who plays at right tackle this week? That's a tough question because it's between Jalen Moore and Tom Compton. I think both play. That's what Kyle Shanahan said because they're trying to figure out who's better. And that's a bad spot to be in. The 49ers cannot sleepwalk their way through the right tackle position. It's just too important. And if they're playing 2 guys, they're sleepwalking their way because nobody's grabbed that job. So either Jalen Moore or Tom Compton has to grab that job. And I'll tell you what, I think we've seen the ceiling for Tom Compton. He's a veteran. He's been around for a while. He's done a fine job in some spot action. Other times he hasn't looked as good. But the ceiling guy is Jalen Moore. He's the guy that can improve as a rookie. And the 49ers really need him to grab that job. Is it me or does it feel we're playing better without McGlinchey? Well, the team is playing better since McGlinchey has gone out, but it's not because McGlinchey is out. They would be even better if McGlinchey would be in. Actually, one of the fracture points for the 49ers in the recent game against the Jacksonville Jaguars was right tackle. Jaguars ran right by Jalen Moore on the touchdown to Brandon Ayuk. Jimmy Garoppolo got drilled on that play, still converted the touchdown. Give Jimmy all the credit for the release and getting that ball to the back of the end zone, but Jalen Moore got beat. If you have McGlinchey in there, you're running better to the right side. You're pass blocking better because he was actually pass protecting at an above average clip for the first time in his career. So that Mac McGlinchey injury was tragic for the 49ers. They have to find a way around it. All right, guys. Be sure to check out the article. I am going to comment on the YouTube video right now to make sure that you have that in the comment section. And everybody take care. 49ers Vikings on Sunday. I think the 49ers win if they hold serve. The 5 keys that I listed are the ones they need to execute to hold serve. Everybody take care. Have a good weekend.